It's also Britt's birthday. And I would like everybody to sing her a happy birthday because it's her birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brittany. Happy birthday to you.
A queen. Anyways. Okay, so just a little bit about Helicon West. It's a live reading series that brings published local writers to read alongside community members in an open, uncensored forum. In order to promote the voice of every community member and democratic ideals, we honor all levels of skill, ability, and craft. In addition to featuring published authors to give the literary arts more exposure in Cache Valleys and surrounding areas, we invite and celebrate aspiring authors from every walk of life to find and share their voices with us. We are committed to the causes of inclusion, accessibility, and representation in our writing community. Helicon West operates on the territory of the northwestern band of the Shoshone Nation, whose people have been living, working, and residing on this land from time immemorial. We acknowledge that these lands carry the stories of these nations and their struggles for survival and identity. We recognize elders past and present as peoples who have cared for and continue to care for the land. In offering this land acknowledgement, we affirm Indigenous self-governed history, experience, and resiliency of the Native people who are still here today. I would like to thank our sponsors, the Bear River Heritage Area, the Logan Library, the Sugar House Review, the Utah Humanities, our founder and matron Saint Star, and the Cache Valley Center for the Arts for our springtime home. Helicon West is also made possible by the community we serve to help us stay in person until the new Logan Library is built, not to mention hydrated and caffeinated. There are several ways to make a donation. You can scan the QR code. There's a little bookmark thing that you can scan the QR code on and donate via PayPal. You can also leave your pocket change in our collection can by the coffee. Help us continue to bring free literary events to our community. If something moves you, if coffee revives you, or if you're getting a good day out of tonight, I see you. Consider leaving a tip to help continue this work. If you'd like to read during the open mic portion of our event, there's a sign-up sheet on the table over there with a pen. After our featured readers will get as far down as the list as time permits. Each reader will get 7 minutes until they're politely clapped off the stage. All of our Helicon West events are recorded and then posted to our Helicon West YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. If you do not wish to be recorded but would like to read during the open mic, please make a note by your name when you sign up so we can turn the camera off during your turn. Our readers tonight, moving on to the next portion, are from Bullpen, which is a creative writing club on campus. We meet every Tuesday at 3 p.m. in Brady West 114. If you're interested, come talk to me afterwards or anybody in all black. It's a Canada, even though you're also wearing all black. Anyways, we'd be happy to talk to you about it. Our first reader is Audrey Johansson. She's a senior at USU, getting her major in communication studies and a minor in Japanese and psychology. She's from South Carolina. Enjoys working with the Peace Institute and CAPS on campus and loves spending time with her family. Her primary genres in writing are sci-fi and fantasy, though she loves anything that breaks the fourth wall. Please welcome Audrey to the stage.
Hi guys, I'm going to read part of the beginning of my newest novella. So here we go. No! room, sending papers flying, ripping into walls. I dig my feet in against the forces of the world. It's shattering. Mason! The frantic voice cracks, splitting into two voices, then four, then fragments of the room multiply, different scenes, different realities playing out, reflected across them. Bright rooms, dark tunnels. Mason, Ellie cries beside me. The wind whips her red hair, and her green eyes are wide as they bore into mine. Mason, it's broken. The multiverse. We have to close. The wind picks up. The light grows brighter. It pulls me in. The world's dark, and I'm 11. Everything looks big at 4 feet tall. My head doesn't even reach more than a foot above the table. I fiddle with my jacket strings, fingers twisting as I look up, eyes flickering towards Dad, his form hunched over the table. His laptop fades the darkened room in a pale glow, and the papers rustle as he flips through them, muttering angrily. Slowly, my bare feet pad across the linoleum floor, and cold seeps up through their soles. The lights of the city below flicker through the floor-length window as I step closer, odd shadows stretching in front of me. Dad? I ask softly, stopping a few feet back from the table. He doesn't move. Dad? His shoulders tense. His muttering stops and is replaced with a harsh breath. What, Mason? He doesn't turn around, but he's tense. We're at the table. Sheets and sheets of notes lay out in front of us. Light spills in from the window, and Dad pulls me onto his lap with a laugh. Look like another language to you yet? I make a face, and he pulls me closer with a smile. What, Mason? He doesn't turn around, but he's tense. You're still working on it? My voice comes out deeper than when I was 11. I'm 17. Is this all you ever do? New piles of paper lay around the room and on the table. We've lived here a long 6 years, and it shows. A crack splits through the room as he surges to his feet. Palms land onto the table, chair clattering to the floor behind him. My eyes lock on his. They're boring into me. Dangerous. His dark irises spark with veins of blue. Lightning flicks across his body, tendrils reaching down towards his clenched fingers. I'm 17, not a scared little kid anymore. I narrow my eyes back. I'm doing this for you, he says, teeth clenching together as the lightning spasms. Don't kid yourself, I say back, stepping forward as my hand swings down. All you care about is your stupid reputation. Your mother, my mother is dead, I cry, whole body shaking with adrenaline. You've been working for years on this project. We're a laughing stock because of your stupid plans. It's not going to work, so open your eyes. You open yours, he roars, moving forward. His eyes spark, inches from mine. He's still half an inch taller. The air crackles and my hair begins to lift in the static coming off of my father. But every bit of me is anger, not fear. I am done with you, I grit out, leaning even closer. His eyes shift and the light in his irises stutters, some emotion flashing, hurt or fury or maze. The house is filled with light, curtains fluttering as a slight stream of air comes inside. There are still boxes. Mom's green eyes are sparkling in a kind open smile as she stoops down, hands on her knees to get to my eye level. You ready to help me? She asks, eyes alight. We have a lot of pictures to hang. I grin. One of my front teeth is gone. I'm 7. Hopefully not too many, Dad says with an easy smile. Most of the furniture still hasn't come in. His forehead is speckled with sweat, and his hair is mussed on one side, sticking up at odd angles. He sets down a large box by the kitchen table, which is covered with boxes of its own, and wipes an arm across his face. His hair sticks up even more dramatically. Mom stands up smiling, and they lean in toward each other. We'll build a new life here, she says. You're doing important work. Just don't blow anything up along the way, A flash of light, a cracked sound. Her eyes widen before the impact. Dad smiles. Mom smiles. Everyone smiles. The ring on her finger sparkles in the kitchen light. The water sparkles across the river in the setting sun's rays, and the wind ruffles my hair. My sneakers are new, but I'm still wearing black. I'm 12. Dad approaches from the side, footsteps quiet in the grass. We stand in silence for a moment. I know that this move has been hard for you, he says, voice hollow. Lights twinkle from the city across the river, and I fix my gaze on the pinpricks. Feel the cool breeze in the crisp air, turning cold to fill in my lungs. I refuse to look over and see him ridges straight, avoiding my gaze. He's been this way ever since the funeral. It's been hard, he reiterates, but this is where we're supposed to be. His voice is firm, determined. We're going to fix everything. I stay quiet. How can we fix everything when Mom is already gone? Bang, bang, bang. The wooden door shakes in its hinges and I stumble back, heart pounding. The small windows set high on the basement walls show a dark sky through the grimy haze. Black hoodie, a sporadic blue light flashing across the peeling wall flicker, sparks. Dad's dead, Mom's dead, I'm 18 and a half, and they're after me. The rickety chair shatters where it's braced under the door. The whole wall's worn paneling shakes. It's not going to hold. It's not going to hold. Energy consorts inside of me. The pressure of the hoodie against my charged skin is grounding even as my breath heaves. The door is the only way out. The house has been decommissioned and the top half was demolished months ago. That's why it's been safe. The door is the only way out. I'll have to go through. Which shatters, just as I wind my stance and face the door, fists clenched and heart pounding in my ears. 3 figures stand, silhouetted against the light of the street lamp. My eyes flash between them, but even if I got past the first, there are 2 more behind them. Mason. My eyes swing in the speaker's direction, taking him in as he steps out from behind the hulking man in the front. His glasses glint in the low light, and his dress shoes click against the asphalt, along with a thin black cane. He crosses the threshold and steps into the room with a dull thud, hands held loosely in front of him. It's time we talked. You stay away from me, I growl, catching sight of his dark eyes. The other shift, coming through the door as well, and my skin crawls. I back up a step, fist trembling. What will you do, Mason? The man's eyes flash dangerously, and he takes a step closer. Level another city? Break reality like your father? I am nothing like him, I growl, breathing ticking up a notch. The tingling of energy is electric under my skin, pulsing louder and louder, faster and faster. I glance down. Electric blue light darts across my skin. The man chuckles. Of course not. Your father had much more control over his abilities. Who are you? I grit out. I can feel the energy breaking free, sporadic, wild. The man just smiles. The power explodes.
That was great. Thank you. Next, we have Eliza Taylor, who is a freshman at USU, studying anthropology with a focus in museum studies. She loves all things folklore and fairy tales, and has been working on a fantasy retelling series for the past 6 years, finally getting her first novel out to beta readers in August. She'll be reading an excerpt of chapter 10 from Of Oceans and Promises.
Hello. So this is an excerpt from chapter 10, like it said. This is a fairy tale retelling, and this character, whose projected this is on, is a retelling of Snow White. Her name is Adelia Leonis, and in this part of the book, to give context, she has just escaped the kingdom of Carly, fleeing from her stepmother, Queen Lorraine, after she's learned that her father, who everyone thought was bedridden, is actually been poisoned by her, and now the queen has flipped it around, so everyone believes that Adelia is the poisoner. Her father, as far as she's aware, her father is still alive when she left. And this is her running from the huntsman now. In this retelling, the huntsman is interesting, and I like them. Adelia does have a brace on her left leg, so she's slightly paralyzed, but she can still run. I know you're there, she screamed to the woods, looking behind her for any sign of life. You can't scare me. She slowed, grabbing onto a tree and letting herself catch her breath. Maybe she did outrun them. Maybe the blow to her shoulder was too much and she had stayed back. That was it. Even in her current, disheveled state, Adelia was still intimidating. She grinned ear to ear. And you can tell the queen she would take her sharp crowns and shove out her... Adelia cried out, her leg giving out from under as she fell to the mud. Her arm dragged along the bark, leaving it cut and bruised. Sharp bolts of pain flooded her leg as she bit her lip to keep from screaming out. The huntsman stood over her, one hand on her protruding hip and the other dangling a thin dagger from leather straps. Oh, poor darling. A smile toyed across their dark lips. I'll make sure to tell the queen exactly that when I bring her your heart on a silver platter, though it doesn't look like there's much of a heart left for me to bring. Don't do this. Adelia squeezed her eyes shut, begging herself to be silent, but knowing this was the only way left to live. I promise you, you don't want to do this. Oh no, you're right, but we all have to do what we don't want to. The huntsman squatted beside her, reaching out for a strand of Adelia's long black hair and lacing it between their fingers. From personal experience, you should really do something with this. Trust me, getting blood out of hair is the absolute worst. They laughed, low and thick with mirth. Why do you think she's out to kill me in the first place? Because you killed the king and stole the sword of heirs? They raised their eyebrows, slowly mouthing the word done. Adelia paled. The king is dead? As a doornail, though I find that expression confusing, how could something be dead if it was never stopped? Adelia raised her hand, shifting as far away from the huntsman as she could. Don't say another word. The huntsman was silent, watching her with precision. Her eyes flickered down to the metallic brace on her leg. How'd it happen, he asked, letting go of Adelia's hair and nonchalantly motioning to their leg. I don't remember. Adelia spoke without really understanding what she was saying. The huntsman's words fluctuated in and out as the woods around them shriveled closer. Her chest rose and fell in a sharp rest, and she dug her nails into the mud below. She did it. She killed him. And Adelia wasn't even there to say goodbye. You there, kid? Shut it. Adelia whispered below her breath. The world turned right around her. Oh, don't pout. I said shut up! Adelia screamed, throwing her weight against the cushion in front of her and sending them sprawling backwards. She struggled to stand, but her leg wouldn't let her. Fury melted into her veins as she braced herself for the strike of the dagger on her heart. But he said she would be with him. Nothing but silence. Adelia raised her head as best she could, glowering from the strands of hair that covered her sight. Something trickled down her face, and she silently wished it was blood. The huntsman sat in front of her, legs folded over themselves, so they stared ahead. Stared at Adelia. They watched the tears as they rolled down her cheeks, soaking into the mud. They saw the hatred in her eyes, the quivering of her hands on the ground, the rips and tears and cuts of her dress. They took it all in, and finally, they spoke. You didn't do it, did you? I told you to shut it, Adelia spat. You couldn't have. If you did, you wouldn't look like this. What does it matter to you? Adelia launched forward, leaning on her hands as she threatened the assassin. You're going to get your reward whether I'm innocent or not. The huntsman was silent. They sat staring at the necklace of pearls around her neck, deep in thought. Finally, they looked up, meeting Adelia's unwavering stare. You have a day. Thank you.
Our next reader is Hannah Smith. Hannah is a sophomore at Utah State. She's studying English with an emphasis in creative writing. She enjoys listening to folk music, writing poetry, and fiction, going on long walks, and wearing elaborate costumes even when it's not Halloween.
Hello. This is a poem I wrote. It's called Roadkill. And lately, I've been thinking about bodies. The glossy black fur that cradles a kitten coated in flies. The fragility of swallowbird bones crackling beneath my boots. The widening of those insatiable chasms called pupils. The cropped hair of the boy that ambles beneath my window. The torn off leg of the doe discarded on a hiking trail. The soft veins that trace the back of my lover's hand in my absence. Lately, I wake up at dark hours, splayed out on my floral bed sheets, ruminating over something once seen. Not life, not existence, not creation, those habitual culprits that gleam, break free, feast, crack, and crease, but something tangible. I've been thinking of the stacks of meat that once were animals, now slumped and rigid and puffy on the side of the road, bursting with stuffing like scarecrows, passively suspended, unseeing eyes watching, waiting for fertile, richly ripe crops that will once again rise from the earth, undead above their waists. Lately, white-knuckled knuckles clutch my steering wheel, and I cannot look away because they are me. Lately, the world hurtles towards inevitability. My body contorts to keep up with it. My soft belly is not here by happenstance, and neither are the mosaic fissures crouching towards my cornered eyes. Each morning is a desperate morning, and each night is a desperate night, and on each twilight I balance, arms out, taut on the blade's brittle edge, listening, listening, listening. Engrossed with a preoccupied sputter of something, not life, not existence, not creation, but a lukewarm carcass, its dew-covered flesh misting under the arid, apathetic sun.
I love that Helicon West gives us a platform where Hannah can talk about death. Shout out. Our next reader is Michael Skillings, who is a senior at Utah State University studying electrical engineering. Feel free to judge him. This is really He enjoys writing fantasy, far future sci-fi, and the occasional splash of cosmic horror. In his free time, he likes to play guitar and ignore his responsibilities. Shout out.
What I'm going to be reading today is the prologue for what I hope will eventually be a novel, but it's also all I have of a novel written so far. It's a cosmic horror piece taking place in some generic fantasy world. The overall work is called The Tale of Gabriel Dyer. It is said that gods exist because humans believe in them, but the universe exists because the orders believe in it. Once there lived a woman named Rachel Dyer who desired power, the ability to break the spirits of willful beings and inflict her own whims upon them. To this end, she climbed a high mountain, and upon its summit, she struck a covenant with an order of disease and pestilence. It bestowed upon her a sliver of its might, and in exchange she pledged that, when the hour came, she would do its bidding. But the hour was far away, so Rachel Dyer descended the mountain and went among the people in their towns and cities, eager to test her power. She found she liked it. For years, Rachel Dyer wandered from hamlet to village to town to city, never staying more than a week, and never leaving anything living. When she arrived, the inns and taverns would be stocked high with fruits and vegetables and grains, with the fields full of healthy livestock and the streets alive with townsfolk and travelers. Then, when she left a few days later, the only moving thing would be the wind, carrying away the rotten stench of the bloated corpses littering the street. She struck down those she passed on the road, and she grinned to see the desperation and confusion on farmers' faces as their crops withered and crumbled around them. All their sweat and labor, all their months of care and tending, they were nothing before her power. But it was not truly her power. It was a gift from something even greater than her. But how quickly we forget. One day, Rachel Dyer's wanders took her high into the north, into jagged mountains of gray, scoured by the wind and crusted by the frost. The only life here was the blue-green lichen that clung to the leeward slopes. She endured the bitter nights in the crude, long-abandoned stone huts, cut into the stone. And in the cold darkness, she felt something she hoped never to feel. She felt afraid. She felt weak. After some time in the mountains, she came upon a valley. The jagged rocks gave way to rich black soil, and the air was still and warm, shielded from the bitter winds. Lush woods and pastures sprawled through the valley, and at its center, thin trails of smoke crawled from the chimneys of a small village. The villagers fed her and warmed her by their fire in the tavern, just as countless others had before, and she told them wondrous lies about her adventures, just as she had to countless others before. But as she sat in their tavern, sipping the fruits of her labors, Something peculiar happened to her. She saw a man sitting at a table, smiling and laughing with the others at her stores. And when she saw him, she felt nothing she'd never imagined she'd feel. She didn't want to destroy him. She didn't want to hurt him. She didn't want to prove her power over him. Instead, she wanted simply to be near him and to hear him speak. For a moment, she even felt as though he made her want to feel weak. The thought disgusted her. She jerked up from the bar and pulled her shawl tight and stormed out of the town without another word. On a frost-crusted foothill, she turned around to look over the valley of the town, at the wretched smoke rising from its revolting chimneys, at the abominable cobbled streets and vile clapboard hovels. Shivering as much from furious cold, she ground her teeth and raised her hand, ready to bring the most putrescent, flesh-eating plague she'd ever imagined down on the farmers and their families. But at the last second, she hesitated. Maybe it was the thought of wandering again through the mountains. Or maybe it was the warm haze of the ale still clinging to her brain. But some tiny part of Rachel died melted in that moment. She lowered her hand. Then she returned to the village. She found her name still in the tavern, and did something she'd never done before. She asked him his name. Rachel Dyer stayed in the town and the valley far longer than she'd stayed in any other. The days stretched into weeks, then into months as the snow began to fall. When harvest time came again, she rode beside a man in a white carriage, dressed in a snowy gown, through the village streets, to a cottage built just for them. Through the small square window beside the bed, she and the man watched the first flakes of winter fall over the valley. For the first time in her life, Rachel Dyer felt happy. Not powerful, not strong, just happy. How quickly we forget, but the orders always remember. The hour came at last, and Rachel Dyer heeded it not. Whether she did not hear the trumpet sound, or whether she chose to ignore it, it was the same. She had sworn to order, an order of disease and pestilence. The sickness was swift and sudden and savage. It took him in the morning, and by the next, it took all his strength just to breathe. Rachel Dyer could only hold his hand and weep as she saw the purple corruption creep across his face and the strength melt from his body. She sobbed and begged and prayed, knowing that she was to blame, pleading for the order to afflict her instead. But the man died all the same. The villagers came and took the body away and buried it, leaving Rachel Dyer alone in the cold, dark cottage with an open wound in her chest. She lay in the bed beside the window with her knees hugged tight against her, never moving, never stirring. The villagers came and stoked her fire and brought her meals of soup and bread, and took them away when they had grown cold. Outside the window, the sun rose and set. A long time passed. Then, one day, Rachel felt something. Deep within the oppressive darkness, a light, a warmth, a new life urging within her. It was as if the world came back to life. The snow melted, the darkness lifted, color returned to the sky. Here was another chance. Here was someone to love again. She rose from the bed by the window and fell to her knees outside the cottage door, tears and bright spring sunlight on her cheeks. She named the child for his father, and so began the tale of Gabriel Dyer. Again, we see how quickly we forget, but the orders remember. The orders always remember.
I love to do my full page, so that's kind of good. There is also a reminder to the sign-up sheet for an open mic afterwards. Feel free to sign up to the speakers, anything you really want. Just putting that out there. Our next speaker is Jay Payne, who's a poet based in Logan, Utah. I just realized that's all my clothes. Okay, thanks. Jay Payne is a poet based in Logan, Utah. He will be reading his poem, Fallen Stars, City Lights, Junebird, which appears in Volume 4 of Deep Wild Journal. Although Jay's first love is poetry, he also enjoys studying classical Latin and Greek.
I will have the mic adjusted for me.
Kind of him.
All right, the piece I'm reading retelling of the Kipparesis myth from Ovid's Metamorphoses. In that myth, the character Kipparesis has a friend stag, and he accidentally kills him, and then Apollo turns him into a cypress tree so that he can forever mourn the stag. So, here's my poem. Falling stars, city lights, juniper. The woman longed to see a falling star. The woman longed even more to see a falling star that would grant her a wish. So every night she would sit on the steep slope, hoping one might fall like one of those bitter berries ripened between the flat needles of the young junipers surrounding her. Then it happened. The Milky Way's wound reopened, and hundreds of stars leaped into the sky like silvery blood droplets. Drenched in the starlight, the woman hurriedly wished to see the Milky Way heal, and the falling stars granted her wish. When the starlight lifted, her body stiffened into a thick trunk, and her arms extended into long branches with whorls of flat needles spreading beneath the stars. For over a millennium, she would stand there watching the slow scabbing of the wound, the white light clotting around dark scar tissue. City lights. No one intends to harm the night sky, but so many contribute to its slow death by erecting street lamps on every corner and letting the taller buildings scatter light upward, infecting the wound. Though no longer visible, the Milky Way suffers, and the juniper mourns, sap beating on her bark like teardrops. Juniper. I hiked 5 miles to rest my hand on this old juniper who has stood here for over 1,500 years, the circumference of her white leather trunk measuring just over 23 feet. Canyon winds have sanded her bark into a gray dust where only the soft edge remains like an ancient thumbprint. I let my fingers catch in the split gaps of her wood before I take a step back to admire her corkscrew limb with a brittle branch pointing toward the sky like an arthritic finger. I can't tell what she's pointing at, but I examine the twig harboring her last whorl of green needles. She is almost dead. I study the signs saluting her scientific classification, J. scopulorum of the cypress family, and I want to ask her, what is it that I'm supposed to mourn?
Our next reader is James Ashby, is a native of Richmond, Virginia. He's a sophomore majoring in creative writing. His favorite genres to read and write include historical fantasy. James completed and received recognition for his sorry guys. James received and completed recognition for his participation in high school for Poetry Out Loud. When not writing, James enjoys swimming, running, and dancing.
Alrighty, that's good. Just a little intro. For the last several nights, a group of hikers have been hearing strange sounds in the woods during their trek along the Appalachian Trail. So, everything is silent. Today is July 10th. We are in the height of cicada season. Over the course of the first week of our backpacking trip, we had become very accustomed to the chaotic cacophony of millions of those annoying insects chirping from sundown to sunup. Everything should not be silent. Out of my peripherals, I see Chuck put one hand on the utility knife he carries on his waist. Beside him, Caleb is leaning down to pick up the small handsaw we brought for slicing down logs for firewood. I know Chuck also carries a small hatchet, but I didn't see him bring it out today. It's probably in his pack still. Show yourself, Chuck calls. For a long time, there is no response. Then from the darkness, a rolling voice washes over us. The voice is low as it rumbles with every syllable. Each word resonates in my chest, rattling my ribcage before dissipating through my fleshy organs. Do you know how to get to Banner Hill? His words echo around the clearing. His voice carries, even though we can tell he is still at least 50 feet away. The four of us look at each other. I can already tell that none of us know what this man is talking about. We all have the same question running through our minds. Is this the man from the other night? Chuck draws a breath and calls back to the man, still unseen for a moment. We don't know where Banner Hill is. We wait for a response, but there is no reaction. No sound, no movement. The four of us stand there, unwilling to push further, but not yet ready to accept the risk that he might have left. For 3 minutes we stand there, waiting for a response. Finally one comes. Do you know how to get to Banner Hill? This time the voice is closer. Perhaps only 30 feet, but still no shadowy movements or sounds of breaking twigs. The four of us looked at each other in confusion. He had just asked that, and we had answered. Hadn't we? Did he not hear us? Caleb raised his hand to his mouth, but before he could call, Chuck grabbed his wrist. No, he whispered fiercely. He heard us. Whoever this man is, he's not just another traveler. He's deranged or possibly looking for trouble. What do we do then, I asked him, matching my whisper to his. Is this the same guy as the other night? Chuck didn't reply. Instead, he walked back to where he had been sitting and retrieved his torch, and something else in his hand, his hatchet. When he returned, Chuck paused and looked each of us in the eye. There's only one way to find out. Just as he was about to shine up, the voice came again. Do you know how to get to Banner Hill? Chuck raised the torch and pulled the trigger, allowing the light to spill out into the night. There, standing about 20 yards away, was the same hulking figure from 2 nights before. All we can see of him is his face and his bushy beard. The rest is hiding behind the tree. Aim the light away, he bellows, raising his arm to his eyes. Startled by the sheer volume of the man's voice, even from so great a distance, Chuck lowers the torch so it's now pointed to the ground directly in front of us. Realizing his mistake, he quickly readjusts it so that it now splits the distance between us and him. The four of us stand still. Once again, we exchange looks, but we see no movement. Was that him? Alex asks in a whisper. I didn't actually see him the other night. I don't know, Caleb says. I didn't get to see much of him either. That's him, I say. That is most definitely him. My heart beats in my throat and my pulse quickens to the tempo of Usain Bolt's speed. My breath starts coming in shorter and shorter breaths. It was, Chuck confirms. We got a good look at his face the other night, and it's him. What do we do? Alex asks. Tie your laces. If we need to run, I don't want any of us to be handicapped. We lean down and check the string burnouts. I am the first one finished. Good, Chuck says. He hands the hatchet to me. This is for you. What did I do? I ask. I have my knife. He did have his knife, I remember. It was a big one too. It still sat sheathed on his head. But Caleb had told us that Chuck had once been a Marine, so I trusted that the sheathed blade could become a lethal weapon in only a matter of seconds. I notice his hands are shaking, or rather, I see the trembling from the beam of light, and infer his hands have a reason for it. Only unsheath the weapons if you're planning on attacking, he tells us. If we need to run away or chase him off, I don't want us tripping in.
Do you know how to get to Banner Hill?
The voice booms from somewhere on the far left, much, much closer than it had been before. Chuck swings the light over to the source and finds the man standing not 3 strides away from us. He had skirted the edges of the light until he was almost upon us. All 4 of us jump in our skin when we realize just how close he had come to flanking us. But then the man's eyes just go wide, and then before any of us could do anything, he's gone, bolted back away into the trees.
I'm sorry, I'm shook. Just a reminder also, sign up again on the table, and we do have snacks, refreshments in the bag for you guys. Feel free to indulge. Our last featured reader for the night is Amrita. She's a senior at USC. No, stop, it's okay. She'll be reading a fun poem titled Perception. When Rita isn't writing, she must be taking a nap. Nice to meet you. Okay. Perception. I think something I'm constantly curious about is how people perceive me. And I'm not trying to be weird, but there's those people, you know what I mean? For example, when I first saw my husband, subflex, I know, I instantly noticed his eyes, his beautiful eyes, and the crinkles next to them as they find themselves on the same plane as his cheeks when he smiles. When I look at my mother, I notice the apples on her cheeks, small and poignant. They're relaxed when she sees me eating, and tense when she's with me in the car while I'm driving. My other dear friend, Maylin. I found myself drawn to the way she holds herself, and who smiles to those around her. When I close my eyes, I can see a golden aura following her as she introduces herself to strangers in the elevator. And we all know strangers in the elevator. So I want to know, what do you notice when you see me? Do you notice my eyes, how they're the color of sweet coffee beans and glimmer in the sunlight? Or maybe you watch the movements of my mouth as my lips open and close around each word. I don't blame you if the first thing you notice is the way I laugh, the loud laugh, the one people stop to and look around. Do you notice the way I hold my head up high because I know that I deserve to be here? The way I know I deserve to be here just like everybody else? Or maybe you don't notice these things about me. Maybe you notice how the same eyes that glimmer in the sun are so dark that you can't see my pupils. That when my AP psychology teacher had us paired in partners to watch our pupils grow and shrink in the dark, maybe you were the one who groaned, who complained about being my partner because you couldn't see my pupils among the sea of dirt. Maybe you stare in disgust as my mouth, previously spewing delicious smiles and similes and metaphors, now calls you out. Now enough is loud and annoying and always talking about injustice and racism, and man, why can't I talk about literally anything else? Do you stare at me when I laugh? Are you the old man sitting across from me at Olive Garden who stared and gawked as I laughed and laughed because you've never seen someone like me before? Maybe when I talk about why I deserve to be here like you and like me, maybe you disagree because maybe, just maybe, the first thing you notice about me is my dark walnut skin, like raisins that have been dried just a little too long, just a little too much time in the sun. You think about how that can't possibly be. Maybe you're the guy on the bus who told me I couldn't possibly be from here because look at your skin. And I agree, because my biggest flex is that I'm not from here. But that doesn't automatically mean I'm not from the United States. Or are you the person that asks if I have a nickname as soon as you hear my full name without even trying to say it? Because no, I don't have a nickname. Because if you can say Timothy Chalamet, Tchaikovsky, and Michelangelo, then you can say Amrita. Because maybe you're the person that asks me if I've ever been to Tandoori Oven after I told you I was Indian, because that's all you know, and you're trying to relate. way, but man, it's getting old. And I'll answer for you while I'm up here. Yes, I've been. Yes, it's good. Yes, it's authentic. Yes, they're holding back on spice because they know you can't handle it. And after you ask me about jewelry oven, you'll ask me what the dot on my forehead means. You'll ask me if I speak Hindu, and I won't correct you and tell you that Hindu is a religion and you actually mean Hindi, the language, because you don't care. You don't mind. Because if you did care, you would have worked to learn the right things years ago when the first person corrected you. Maybe all you know about India is the Taj Mahal. So you ask me if I've ever been and tell me you want to visit. But oh goodness me, forgive me if I say I literally don't care. Because I'm more than being brown. Sure, it's a big part of me and I love this part of me. But we can talk about anything else. We can talk about how awful the boxed elder bugs are. We can talk about how cool fry sauce is. We can talk about your favorite movie instead of just asking me if I've seen the only Indian movie you've ever seen because you want to respect my culture. So while I want to know what you think of me, what you noticed about me when I entered the room and got up, but I won't ask. Because frankly, I don't want to know. And I have a feeling I already know how that conversation is going to go. Okay, we'll move on to the open mic portion of our event. Okay. I'm gonna just call out 3 at a time. There are only 3 people here, so if you want to sign up, there's still food, by the way. Our first speaker will be Ronald, and our second speaker will be Lauren, and our third speaker will be Amber. And I'm assuming there's not more than one Ronald, Lauren, or Amber who has signed up, so I'm sure you know.
Hi, Ron.
Hello,
Ron. You tell me, I didn't know 10 years ago, you say yes, you say no. And asked you, you go out with me. I didn't know. You did. But now it's happened, from then to now, including your saying, I'm ready with us. And glad I did what I did then. So we can be eternal friends. From there, 62 years ago, it must have been so sad, and first anniversary, you have to be there, with living alone. For the past year, as a good someone, it was so dead. If you won't be so dead, if you meet someone who means well to you, you won't be lonely, to that point of your life. You get to eventually, you can tell me why.
Alright, so this is the beginning of the short story that I'm writing right now. The moon tulip blooms only at night. Some say it likes the poisonous starfalls, that it drinks them up like sweet juice. I imagine it sucking up the liquid, slurping it down, and changing the poison into a cure. That's probably not how it works. It doesn't cure the madness, only other sicknesses. Sicknesses like raven fever. I stand in the doorway of our flat, awning protecting me from the starfall. Red rains down in a stream from the fabric. Yellow drips onto a patch of grass further ahead. Midnight blue patters to my left. That's as far as the light of my candle goes. Starfall. It's like an army stands invisible in the sky, dumping buckets of colorful paint. The air is humid and uncomfortably warm, even though it's night. inside that cicada. Her small form is cocooned in blankets. Her moon-pale hair sticks up at odd angles, and her chubby face is inflamed, but at least she's finally asleep. As I watch, my little sister stirs. Her eyes wink awake, and her small hand lifts, fingers reaching. Echo, her little voice asks, weak as a candle flame. Immediately I move to her side. I'm here. Her small, soft fingers entwine with mine, and her breathing calms. I brush blonde hair from her flaming face. She glances at the open door. What were you doing? Just looking, I say, heart clenching painfully. I'm just looking. She nods, eyes closing again, drift into sleep on a deadly lullaby. I stay, run my hands through her soft, downy hair, remembering the nights before the first starfall, when I used to drift to sleep with cicada music in my ears, or maybe the melody of real rain that was less heavy, more clear. Cicadas, my sister's namesake. It's been years since I found their shed skins hanging on the house walls or sitting in the garden. I wonder if my parents knew then that she would be the last cicada left. The starfalls kill everything, they don't turn mad. Cicada snores congested. I lift her head, putting my pillow under it, and look back out past the dripping rainbow to where, somewhere, moon tulips sit in the dark.
It's off.
Okay. So my name is Amber. I am a junior at Utah State. I'm an English major, creative writing and publicist. And I'm going to read a poem that I wrote a couple weeks ago for Pobet, and that I'm now reading here. I had a dream years ago that I was laying down in bed, holding my 2-year-old son close to myself and resting with him. I was his mother, so of course I must have brought him safety and security. But I felt as though the comfort and reassurance he gave me through holding him must have outweighed anything I could have possibly been giving him. I loved him with a depth of affection I hadn't known that I was capable of. When I woke up, I looked around myself in the bed for him. My panic soon subsided to be replaced with emptiness as I remembered my own reality. I confusedly pulled cobwebs of grief away from my 18-year-old body as I mourned the loss of a son I didn't have. I sat there, aching and incredibly bereft as I grieved a son that had never existed, but that somehow I had held and known. I don't know why any of this matters though, because I never wanted to be a mother anyway. I climbed out of bed that morning, but I hadn't slept in nearly long enough, as was the routine of borderline insomnia I had adopted. I took pride in it for reasons unknown to myself, and found some sort of identity in the quiet of 4 a.m. I don't know how I survived high school, considering I got 3 hours of sleep a night 4 years in a row. I shuffled into our garage, pulling myself up and into my car to drive myself to school. I drove through my usual neighborhood shortcuts, the loud stretches at nighttime all around me as I drove to yet another day of school that would start before the sun had risen. I walked my way heavily through that day, outwardly continuing my pattern of mundanity, as I pretended that there wasn't a new aching emptiness inside of me, an emptiness in the womb that I never wanted in the first place. If there's a God, I think that he was giggling with Michael and Gabriel, the 3 of them pointing at me and covering their mouths to hide their snickering. Maybe it's the curse of my being born a woman, to be laden with this maternal instinct I have no desire for. Maybe I don't know myself as well as I'd hoped. Maybe I'm assigning meaning where there isn't any, and that dream was simply a cruel joke that my brain inadvertently played on itself, a viciously unfortunate accident of my subconscious. Whatever it was, it lingers. I'm turning 21 this month, on the second to last day of November. My son is approaching 5 years old by now, but then again, he doesn't exist. But somehow, I still remember him. I still remember what it felt like to hold him in my arms during that lazy nap. Still remember how much I loved him and what I thought about while I held him. They'll never exist because I'm too selfish to take on the burden of a child. Too scared to brave the stress and irreversibility and uncertainty of it. Too familiar with myself to pretend I have endless patience it requires. I only exist because my mother wasn't as selfish as I am. Or maybe I only exist because my parents were selfish enough to think that they could do it. Selfish enough to give themselves that peaceful moment in bed, holding their child, without considering the fact that no one is cut out for everything else that raising a child requires. The fact that raising a child is intrinsically and inherently impossible.
Our next three readers are Star, Britt, and Salem.
Thanks for coming, everyone. This is a poem by our readers tonight in the order which they read, and instead of saying who's dedicated to Audrey, Eliza, Hannah, Michael, Jay, James, and Amrita. I'm just going to make them into stanzas, make you into stanzas, all of you. So one. The force of the world is shattering, different realities, twisting, punched, muttering, angrily. Electric light filters in, another language sparkles on the threshold. Take another step, the power explodes too. Thin dagger, the heart pierced through, sharp breaths of fury, glowering, free. Thinking of bodies, not life, bodies bursting, hurling, desperate on the blade's little edge. 4. In a frost-crusted half-second, we're travelers. Our days stretch to weeks, to months, another chance. 5. A falling star, a steep slope. The bitter berries of juniper, slow scabbing of the wound, the world we're supposed to mourn. 6. Our voices carry, our questions not answered, we're waiting. Our torches, our hatchets ready. What do you do? 7. When we close our eyes, we are strangers to ourselves. Our mouths open and close to our words. We complain. We say we deserve. But maybe that can't possibly be. Maybe we can't possibly be in this world we're supposed to mourn.
I echo Star in thanking you all for coming out here tonight. Thank you, the bullpen, the English department for raising these beautiful children. And whatever other departments you might come from. I'm super jazzed to be here tonight. Thank you, Nate, for doing the magical microphone things in the night. I will read the first part of a short story, which I should probably have reviewed before I came here tonight. I wrote it a couple of years ago during the pandemic, and I titled it then "Home is Where Hell Is." And for my siblings in the audience, it's based in the house we grew up in. But it's not about you. I'm gonna set a timer on my watch too. Jessica killed the engine inside. The cars clustered like metallic hornets around her childhood home, forced her to park halfway down the cul-de-sac. She'd ridden her bike around the bumpy asphalt 1,000 times growing up, her father's leash too short to allow her to ride anywhere else. But the strip of road that seemed like a sip of freedom felt now like a chokehold at 25, especially clogged with cars, nobody carpooling these days. And yet all these women are crammed inside the house, Jessica thought, yanking her purse strap over her head. Now that the state of Idaho had lowered their threat level to yellow. People were clustering like ant piles. This isn't following CDC guidelines. There's no way. Even though women couldn't contract the virus, they could still carry it, for God's sake. A mass gathering like this wasn't okay. Jessica stepped out of her car anyway, swearing as she slammed the door. It was her sister. Jessica had already made the decision to come. Starting the debate all over again would flush her nerve. As Jessica approached the sandy brick house, she noticed the lock on the green front door changed. She snorted, like she ever planned on coming back here after she turned 18. The porch she'd raced over and read on, kissed boys, and cried on wasn't hers. She checked for cameras in the corners of the covered doorstep. Was he watching? Would he see her? Would he pause and zoom in on her face, rewind her approach over and over? In an edie where a robin made its nest every spring, a bulbous black eye stared down, its obvious lens pointed at her from behind. Jessica looked at it, wondering if she should flip it off or run away. But Jessica's mom opened the door, a taller, wrinkled, long-haired mirror of herself. Trina's eyes instantly filled with tears. "Welcome home, sweetie," she said, opening her wide, soft arms for a hug. Jessica stepped in and immediately hated herself for it. My life, my boundaries, my decisions. She pulled back from the peach fuzz of her mother, forced a smile, and said, "Where's Jane?" Trina's lips pulled thin. "In the family room. She'll be so happy you came. Here, let me take your purse." "My knife's in my purse," Jessica thought loudly as she smiled and drew the purse strap back over her head. It would hurt more feelings if she refused her mother after ending the hug so quick, and besides, there should only be women inside. Still, she was probably being paranoid. I still should have grabbed it, she thought, as Trina carried the purse down the hall to what was the guest bedroom. Shaking her head, Jessica quickly followed and passed her estranged mother on the way to the den at the back of the house. Only separated from the kitchen by an island bar, the den was a cushion-filled room between the dining room and the backyard, one wall made of windows and white French doors. Stuffed into every square foot of space, 6 inches from each other instead of the CDC recommended 6 feet, was a woman, thick, slim, menopausal, prepubescent. The room was bursting with every age of women except for the white-haired old. They buzzed in an estrogen-thick hive around Jane. Jessica's very pregnant sister was trapped in an armchair at the head of the room, looking both pained and delighted over the fat crest of her belly. Not a single person was wearing a face mask, and Jessica seized up in the doorway. "Jessie," a familiar voice gasped. Lauren, another sister. And instantly Jessica was sucked into the fold, tripping over the blue and pink balloons scattered across the floor. It was not only the family's first grandchild, but it was one of the first communal celebrations since the pandemic hit. After 3 months of home lockdown and quarantine, the state had graduated to threat level yellow less than a day before Jane called Jessica in tears, ecstatic to have a baby shower after all. "I want to celebrate life," her sister sobbed into the phone. "We made it, we did it, I want to see you." But this baby shower was above and beyond what Jessica agreed to when she said she would come. Everyone had dressed up, from their painted toes to the gaudy barrettes in their hair. Women tittered in high heels and split-legged dresses, looking odd with fistfuls of pretzels in their jeweled hands. It was a cocktail party with motherly overtones, neon-painted lips cooing advice, drinking tap water out of red Solo cups politely. It was June, yet every inch of shown skin, didn't I just say it was April? Anyway. Every inch of shown skin was bulging against elastic and deathly pale. Jessica felt her tension slip as she bought into the manic talk. Everyone wanted to hear from everyone else, to meet and be seen, to feel the heat radiating off another female body. with everyone pressing in, wanting to know who she was, how she made it through. Jessica stopped seeing the decades-old family pictures on the walls. She could forget where she was if she talked and listened fast enough. One aunt, who had always been an ally, even brought out a flask of moonshine. Then, pretending everything was fine, came even more easily. The crowd was so thick, she rarely saw her mother, which helped. She could just be a severely underdressed and overstressed girl at a party. These people had no idea they were celebrating at her childhood crime scene. But the aunt with the alcohol, Aunt Beth, she knew. While she closely resembled her sister Trina, Beth was grayer and more athletic, sporting a dragonfly tattoo on her foot. She nudged Jessica away from the party easily, threading their arms together and suggesting a cigarette. Instead, they went down to the basement, down the hall to Jessica's childhood bedroom, and shut the door. Blue late afternoon light glared in from the small sliding window, illuminating all the magazine pictures and song lyrics Jessica had left taped to the walls. The carpet was littered with unmatched socks and spidery hairballs, propped up near the silver mirror, propped up in a chair where Jessica used to sit and brush her hair before school. I'm going to step over that. The unmade mattress filled the room, even wedged into the corner beneath the window. Aunt Beth stepped on the mattress, bounced over to the glass window, and yanked it open. There was no screen and plenty of cobwebs in the shallow window well. Jessica hadn't been allowed to open it growing up. Every 6 months, her father would fumigate the house for bugs, stranding the family on the front yard as he coated their lives in poison. Yet despite years of being sealed, Beth opened the window like there had never been a rule. Then Aunt Beth fished a joint out of the side of her bra and amplified the treachery. Jessica smiled and stood on the mattress to join her. "How are you doing?" Beth asked after they had relaxed into the first hit. "Being here is fucking weird," Jessica said, fingering the thin roll of marijuana. "And not just being here, but everyone else too. And my fucking mom, just acting like I'm some puppy that wandered home." "So why did you come?" Her aunt stared at her. Jessica laughed. "I don't know. I love my sister." She inhaled deeply on the joint, held her breath, passed it back. "I thought I could just act." "Why do you even want to act like you buy into this bullshit?" Beth asked. Jessica flinched, but her aunt waited, snubbing the joint on the windowsill. "You're the only woman in this family that's going to make it," Jessica, Beth said. "Your sister's upstairs, popping out babies, playing pretend. You're not like them. This isn't your family anymore, Jess." Jessica closed her eyes. "Jesus, Beth, did you get me high just to tell me how fucked up I am?" Beth reached over and gripped her niece's arm. "You're not stupid, Jessica. You need to get out. Fuck them." Jessica frowned and pulled away. "If you know everything, why are you here too, huh?" "I love my sister," Beth said. Let's walk there.
This was a poem that I wrote a little bit ago, and it started as a free write, and then it kind of just stayed as a free write. So it's a little bit chaotic, but I kind of liked the chaotic energy that's associated with it. Okay, so I have a little epigraph before. It's from the poem A Noiseless Patient Spider by Walt Whitman. I love him. So that little epigraph says, "And you, O my soul, where you stand, surrounded, detached in measureless oceans of space, ceaselessly musing, venturing, growing, seeking the spheres to connect them, to the bridge you will need be formed, to the ductile anchor hold, to the gossamer thread you fling, catch somewhere, O my soul." That's the end of that. Okay. I don't know if I said this earlier, but this poem is called Sticky. This star-stiff collar is tenacious, ruthless, constricting my breathing, claustrophobic. I'm clutching, clinging to this pew.
These pesterings, these feelings, consuming me, engulfing me, won't leave me alone. The preacher, priest, holy man, condemner, drones on, drolls on, sardonic, monotonous, terrifying. Heavy, holy little words marching along in a straight line, as they always do, as he always does, as he has, since I was born, since I was placed in this world by a God who hates, abhors, resents me, who is love. God is love. Mother told me love is like honey, sweet, golden, spotless, glimmering. She told me one day I'd meet a girl and our love would be like honey. I'm sitting here with my perfect, pristine, virtuous, pearly, gleaming mother, and my stand-up, sturdy, righteous, devout father, their only son, their baby, their perfect boy who wears a starched collar on Sundays, who goes to boarding school, prep school with other shiny shoe boys, who combs his hair back, not a hair out of place, lines made with a rigid ruler, exact, sharp, precise, listening intently, reverently to the preacher, priest, holy man, staring intently onward, trying to listen, but hellfire is burning, tearing, scorching, licking, consuming behind my eye sockets, underneath my fingernails, incessant, insatiable itching, prickling along my brain and spine. Honey saturates, drenches my clothes. It drips off my dark hair, into my eyelashes, off my shoulders, into my lap, and seats underneath my feet. I can't move. Everything is too sticky and stuck. Syrupy, tacky, clean like glue, like molasses. I just want to be clean. Washed smooth, velvety and pure, and blissfully, innocently blank. My senses are overloaded by this torrential stick. My mind is swimming, teetering, throwing itself at my skull savagely. Huge, terrible, dark, somber crosses, carrying men, their heads lolling, their hands pierced, nailed, gashed, moving in and out of sight. Holy water, scriptures, pews, stiff collars, pearl necklaces, perfect painted nails, curled hair, shiny shoes, pressed shirts, stifled yawns, hymns, amens, and my perfect mother and stand-up father float and zip and twirl around in this oozing, sticking, frothing, sliding, swaying, putrid, sweet honey mass of stick. There are Bible verses stuck to the crumbling walls of this poisonous ocean. Hellfire for sinners, damned be the gay man, damned be you. Damned be you, sinner, vile affections against nature. Such things are worthy of death, abomination, unclean, no unclean thing shall enter the presence of God. I am gasping, heaving, drowning, fading in this mass of stick, of filth, of carnal, vulgar honey, of putrid, sickly sweetness. Mother, Father, please forgive me when you enter his presence and I am not there. I am trying, I promise I am trying to get my head above this tide of deadly honey. These crosses, these pews, these painted nails and pearl necklaces, and shiny shoes, strangling me, killing me, threatening to destroy me, blast me into bits, expose me. That would kill, that would end you both, that would rip mother's hair out of place, stain, taint, splotch her pristine, wreck, disgrace her pure, her pretty eyes, stab, puncture father's manhood, his pride, rock his sturdiness. I think I need to leave, dissolve, melt, be gone, let them be pearly, untouched, sterile, and sturdy, and gleaming, and I will be red, and burning, and gone, and smoldering, flaming, blistering, tormented. I don't think it would be worse than the hellfire behind my eye sockets, underneath my fingernails, itching, scratching, and gulping, consuming me, won't leave me alone. I clutch, I cling to this pew. If I let go, I will fall completely into this unforgiving inferno, licking, brewing below my skin. I am growing weary, exhausted. I don't know how long I can hold on for. I'm sorry, but I'm slipping, shaking, sinking. Which direction I don't know, but either way, when I fall, slip, let go, crash, I will burn up. The preacher, priest, holy man, clean man, drones on, drolls on, sardonic, monotonous, terrifying, as he always does, this starched, stiff collar constricting my breathing. This gossamer thread burns and is flaming. It will never be flung, never catch somewhere. Oh, my soul, oh, my poor damned soul.
Okay, our next reader will be Maddie, and they requested not to be recorded. Thank you to all of our featured readers at Bullpen, and thank you to all who signed up for the open mic.
And thank you, Arusa.
Just an invitation to join Helicon West one final time in 2022, this year, on Thursday, December 8th for Helicon's 17th open mic birthday bash at the Annex in Logan. There will be food, coffee, and prizes for those who sign up to read, and it's at 7 p.m. And if you don't mind, before you leave, if you would just stack up your chairs like they're stacked in the back behind them. Yeah. Thank
got us, Jim. Made us jump. Yeah, do you think that's a good place to start? That was good.
Just a minute, I just want a picture.
Okay.
Sorry.
Gotcha. I'm up.
Okay.
I'm gonna work. That's gonna be like my focus whenever you do
She just wants to get the picture.